How do you like me now? Here comes another damn episode of Barrel Full of Daryl. Yeah, I'm Daryl, and you know that I discuss music, movies, yada yada yada. Um, have yet to receive a new tape from anybody in Scratch Ankle, but I hope the new sponsors are working out for you. So here we go. Let's talk about some music. Back in the early 1980s, I attended pre-engineering courses at Pensacola Junior College, and I had decided to go on to Auburn University to get a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. Now, my friend Roddy tried repeatedly to get me to go with him to the University of Florida. Well, one day he said, Tom Petty is from Gainesville. Of course, we were big fans of Petty, as he was in his prime at the time, but it wasn't enough of a reason to go to college in Gainesville for me. So I would like to discuss with you the late, great Tom Petty. He was indeed born and raised in Gainesville, Florida, and spent most of his early life there. His musical genres include rock, roots rock, country rock, and southern rock. His bands included Mudcrutch, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and the Traveling Wilburys. As a child, he watched the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show and saw rock music as a way out of Gainesville, away from his father, who was an alcoholic and hated that Tom did not want to pursue sports, but music instead. So he was verbally and physically abusive to Tom. Mudcrutch was his first band, formed in Gainesville in the early 1970s, and included future members of the Heartbreakers, Mike Campbell and Benmont Tench. They were very popular in Gainesville, but their recordings were pretty much unnoticed. So the band split up, and Petty decided to relocate to L.A. There he formed the first lineup of the Heartbreakers, which included Mike Campbell, Benmont Tench, Ron Blair, and Stan Lynch. Now, Benmont Tench, I love that name. And I've been so curious about it all these years. I bet you can't find anybody else in the world named Benmont Tench. But you'd be wrong. His real name is Benjamin Montmorency Tench III. So there were probably a couple of Benmonts preceding him. He was Tom's piano player, and the band's music is rife with his piano work. This, along with Tom's guitar playing, gave them a very distinctive sound. Now, from 1976 to 2014, Tom with the Heartbreakers released 20 studio albums, 9 live albums, and 47 music videos. Now, from 1989 to 2006, Tom also released 3 solo albums, and they are damn good. Also, in 1988 to 1990, he was a member of the supergroup The Traveling Wilburys, which consisted of Tom, Bob Dylan, George Harrison of the Beatles, Jeff Lynne of ELO, and Roy Orbison. Now, that's some damn fine artists, and they made some damn fine music, too. So Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers released too many singles to count. But Tom also collaborated with the likes of Stevie Nicks, Joni Mitchell, John Prine, Eric Clapton, and Johnny Cash, just to name a few. It's kind of cool that some of the artists I've discussed in the past keep popping up in my further discussions, but maybe that means I'm in a rut. I don't know. Now, on our fishing trips, my wife Lisa and I crank up Tom's greatest hits album and sing along to songs like American Girl, Breakdown, I Need to Know, Here Comes My Girl, etc. But I always start the road trip with his solo album, Wildflowers. Man, what a great album. Now, my two favorite songs on that album are the title track, Wildflowers, which is a ballad, and You Wreck Me, which is a rocker, a real rocker. Love it. By the way, there was an urban legend that the song American Girl is about a suicide at the University of Florida. Well, think about it. The first lyric says she was an American girl. Also, it is a song about the loss of love, and it describes a girl standing on her balcony that overlooks Highway 441 in Gainesville. Now, the myth has been denounced, but I can see the reasoning behind it, and probably wasn't an actual suicide, but I do believe it could be about suicide. Of course, they would want to deny that. Now, Wildflowers was produced by Rick Rubin and released in 1994. It contains hard rockers, but also some nice soft ballads. Tom's voice is typically, I would say, baritone and nasal, with a bit of rasp, especially when he interjects into his songs. But on the ballads, he uses a tenor voice, and it is quite lovely. Yeah, lovely. This album contains 15 songs, but he had recorded enough to make a double album. There was a lot of discussion about whether to release it as a double album or not, but due to the risk of reduced sales, Tom culled it down to 15 songs, and it went out as a single album. Now, in 2020, his daughter and the band members released posthumously Wildflowers and All the Rest. That's the name of the album, Wildflowers and All the Rest, which includes the songs that didn't make the first cut. Now, on Prime Video, I watched a documentary about the making of this album, and it was great. I highly recommend that you watch it. I think you'll be impressed. Sadly, Tom is no longer with us. You may already know that he died of a drug overdose, but do you know the circumstances? Well, sorry. Do you know the circumstances? In 2017, he went on tour, which was the band's 40th anniversary tour. And Tom was having physical issues with his knees, and he also had a broken hip. Now, he had been advised to have surgery, but he postponed it due to this 40th anniversary tour. And he was apparently in intense pain, mostly due to the hip. And 1 week after the tour, ended, he ingested 4 different opioids, including some fentanyl, 2 different benzodiazepines, and an antidepressant. Apparently, he was self-medicating, and overly so. Rest in peace, Tom, and thank you for all the great music. Love it. And now a word from our sponsor.
Well, hello there. I am Dr. Gloria Goodsnatch, and I am here to bring to you a public service announcement. And I hope that you are not easily nauseated. My topic for today is smegma. That's S-M-E-G-M-A. Do you know what smegma is? No? Then let me tell you about it. Smegma is a build-up of dead skin cells, oil and other fluids in the genitalia on both men and women. Yes, both sexes, dear. For men it occurs under the foreskin, you know, the anteater. And for the ladies it builds up in the folds of the vulva, you know, the honeypot. So your body automatically secretes oils in the genitals to keep it lubed and happy. That is a natural process, but the problem comes when there is build-up, smegma. How do you know if you have a build-up of smegma? If your genitals exhibit a thick, white cheese-looking stuff, and if it smells like rank cheese or arse, that's smegma. It can be removed and should be removed by cleaning with soap and water. So please don't employ any abrasives or sharp objects to remove it. The genitals should be cleaned 2 or 3 times a week to prevent this smegma. Left unclean, smegma will become hard, sticky and even more stanky. And I'm sure your partner will be very unhappy with you. So be sure to wash and clean your genitals regularly. Smegma, nature's cheese.
Okay, we're back. Hope you enjoyed the word from the sponsor. So I've got to talk about this movie. It's one of my daughter's favorites as well as mine, ever since it was released. It's Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It was released in 1982, and it's a high school coming-of-age story based on the book Fast Times at Ridgemont High, a true story by Cameron Crowe. Cameron posed as a high school student for 1 year to get the material for his book. Now, he started out as a journalist for Rolling Stone magazine when he was a teenager. But he is now famous as a filmmaker with such hits as Say Anything, Jerry Maguire, and Almost Famous. Now, his accolades include an Academy Award, a BAFTA Award, and Grammy Award. But enough about him. This is a very funny film with a great cast and a great soundtrack, which includes the song American Girl by Tom Petty. Now, the cast includes Sean Penn, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Judge Reinhold, Phoebe Cates, as well as little-known actors at the time, Nicolas Cage, Eric Stoltz, Forrest Whitaker, and Anthony Edwards. This was the debut movie for Stoltz and Cage, who played friends of the perpetually stoned surfer Jeff Spicoli, played by Sean Penn. Now, Spicoli is kind of a subplot in this movie, and it involves his continuous run-ins with his history teacher, Mr. Hand, played by Ray Walston. The scenes in which he encounters Mr. Hand are so hilarious, and they really could stand alone as a short film. And on the first day of class, Spicoli is late getting to Mr. Hand's history class, and he knocks on the door, which has a pane glass so you can see who it is. Mr. Hand approaches him and asks if he can help him. Now, Spicoli says he's here for a history class, and he points to the globe in the room and says, "I can see the globe." I think Mr. Hand ripped up his hall pass on that scene, and Spicoli called him a dick. Now, in another scene, Spicoli is seated in class when there's a knock on the door. It turns out to be a delivery guy bringing a pizza to Spicoli. Well, Mr. Hand takes the pizza, opens the box on his desk, and invites the students, except for Spicoli, to come up and grab a slice. And Mr. Hand bites into a piece and says, "Yum, yum." But the heart of the movie regards the love lives of 4 students, a freshman, Stacy, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, her friend Linda, a senior who knows all about romance, played by Phoebe Cates, Mike, a smooth talker and self-proclaimed ladies' man, and finally Mark Rat, air quotes, Ratner, a young shy guy who is interested in Stacy. Now, Rat meets Stacy in biology class, and he is smitten with her. They talk a while and joke around a bit, and eventually go on a date to a German restaurant. When it's time to pay the check, Rat realizes he's left his wallet at home. He excuses himself from the table and uses a nearby payphone to make a call to Mike and ask him to bring his wallet to the restaurant. Now, Mike is resistant to going out and leaving his house, but Rat finally talks him into it. Going back to the table while waiting for Mike, he starts ordering more food to cover the fact that he's waiting on his wallet. Well, Mike finally shows up with a wallet and kind of makes eyes at Stacy. Ruh-roh. Later on in the movie, Mike goes to Stacy's house to swim in her pool. They end up in the cabana where they make love on the couch. Well, they don't exactly make love because Mike prematurely ejaculates. He's very embarrassed and quickly leaves the cabana and her house. Now, fast forward about a month, and Stacy tells Mike that she is pregnant and it is his. Of course, he asked her several times, is she sure? But she says he's the only one she's been with. So Stacy asked him to pay for half the abortion, and he agrees. Mike starts calling his friends, asking for money, friends that he's loaned money to, but none of them are willing to help him out. They all claim to be broke. So on the day of the abortion, Mike doesn't show up, and Stacy has to go it alone. After this gets spread around in school, Mike's reputation is very tarnished, and he finds the word prick spray painted on his car and his locker. So all this was a surprise to Rat, and he blasts Mike for doing what he did to the girl that he is in love with, and they are no longer friends. Now, fear not, Rat and Stacy eventually get back together and apparently live happily ever after. Now, on the evening of the school prom, Mr. Hand shows up at Spicoli's house and is led to Spicoli sitting in his bedroom. And Spicoli says, "Bah, Mr. Hand, what are you doing here?" Mr. Hand says he's there to make up for all the lost classroom time due to Spicoli's antics. Mr. Hand proceeds to lecture him on history and does so for the next couple of hours when he's finally convinced that Spicoli has learned all of it. After Mr. Hand leaves, Spicoli is off to the prom with his fellow stoners. They basically arrive there and they fall out of the van, stoned out of their minds, and a lot of smoke coming out of the van. Well, I'm going to stop here and just let you know that there's so much more to this movie, and it's definitely worth a watch. Nothing else for Spicoli alone. There's another scene where he has stolen the high school football player's car that he got from a sponsor, a nice Camaro, and he and one of his friends are riding around and they total it. And his friend says, "Oh man, he's gonna shit. He's gonna kill us. He's gonna shit." And Spicoli says, "Well, what is it, man? Is he gonna shit or is he gonna kill us?" So first he's gonna shit and then he's gonna kill us. Spicoli also says, "Oh man, my dad can fix it. He's a TV repairman. We can get this fixed." Very funny scene. Okay, enough about the movie. Word of the day. My buddy Dustin sent to me this old English word. Not sure how to pronounce it, but here goes. Dussuwung. Dustseawang, Dustseawung, which means the contemplation of dust. It's the idea that dust is a reminder of past lives, civilizations, and the transience of all things. Thus, it emphasizes the fleeting nature of life and the impermanence of earthly things. Dust to dust, and dust is always the great destination. Joke of the day. This is a good one. So a grasshopper walks into a bar, pulls up a stool at the bar, has a seat. The bartender looks over and comes over to him and says, "Hey, buddy, we got a drink named after you." The grasshopper gives him an odd look and says, "Really? You got a drink named Bob?" But don't. Question of the day. First, we'll discuss the answer to the question from the last time we were together. In mechanical engineering, what is a four-bar mechanism? And I agree that was an unfair question, but I'll go ahead and give you the answer. It's a fundamental mechanical device with four bars joined together by four pins. It's used to convert one type of motion into a different one. So when you ride a bike, your legs, feet, and the bike itself form a four-bar mechanism that turns the cyclic motion of the pedals into forward motion. Now, other examples are oil well pumps, the piston and crankshaft in a car engine, and locking pliers. Yeah. So I did give an alternate question of the day. What is the meaning of sublimation? And I said there could be more than one definition. Now, my fellow scientists and engineers probably know that in the world of physics, sublimation is the process in which a substance turns from a solid phase to a gaseous phase, skipping the liquid phase. Now, this is best seen in dry ice. It's there one day, poof, gone the next. No wet spot. Now, in psychology, sublimation is a process in which unacceptable or unwanted urges are transferred into socially acceptable behavior. Okay. I could probably use a little of that. So here's a new question of the day. In general, or specifically, which freezes faster, hot or cold water? Okay, a thought for the day. Speaking of water, there's this household appliance that heats water, allowing you to enjoy a nice hot shower. Now, I've heard some people call it a hot water heater, but if the water's already hot, why heat it? Let's just stick with water heater, or more fittingly, cold water heater. Do you guys agree? And don't forget about the Barrel Full of Daryl Spotify and Apple Music playlist that accompany this podcast. And as always, you may contact me by clicking on the send me a text button in the episode or directly at bfodpodcast@gmail.com. Keep me from just thinking I'm only talking to myself. It'd be nice to hear from you. Well, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will talk to you next time. Bye for now.